Aang, thank you for your stay. The night a hotel wrote our names before I knew we stayed. At 9:27 p.m., I learned a hotel could tell me the truth more politely than a person ever has. The email arrived with the cheerfulness of a concierge in a tailored suit. Thank you for your stay, Ryan. We hope you enjoyed your evening at the Weldon. Your digital key deactivated at 9:12 p.m. See you soon. The subject line wore confetti. The body wore receipts. Under a photograph of a lobby that pretends to understand the word discreet, there were the ordinary crimes. Room number redacted for privacy, loyalty points awarded, a map to the rooftop bar labeled if you missed IT this time, and a little line of text that shouldn't have known my face. Additional guest, Jules added at 7:54 p.m. I read it twice because I still believe numbers are kinder when you misread them. Then I set the phone face down on the counter and watched its glow reach around the edges like water under a door. Ryan had left it 8 in the jacket that flatters him even when mirrors go evangelical. Wrap toast, he'd said, 2 words that make celebration sound audited. Then notes with Jules. Don't wait. Jules does sound. He carries microphones like small animals with delicate tempers and listens like confession is billable. In the oven, a cinnamon thing had been making a case for mercy since 7. The apartment light climbed the wall in obedient squares and refused to narrate me. I lifted the phone and tapped the part of the email that says View Stay Details, as if that button were a therapist with a sliding scale. A web page unfurled. Times charges a code for the elevator that pretends to be a secret. Under amenities accessed a list. Roof pool 8, 21858, steam 858-907, lobby bar 9-07912. There was a tiny map that traced a small rectangle in the sky. There was a blue dot where the guest named Jules had tapped to unlock. The blue dot floated exactly over a deck chair I once photographed because the city looked good behind it. The cinnamon sighed like a thing that preferred not to be tasked with morality. I turned the oven off and told myself that loving a man sometimes includes knowing when to speak through weather. I put on the jacket that knows how to mind its own business and walked into the evening like I was willing to be seen by the thing that would hurt me. The Weldon's lobby smells like lemon with a college degree. Ferns make a practice case for oxygen. A player piano is employed to convince the wealthy that art is independent. I didn't go to the desk. I let the elevator write our silhouettes in its mirrored back and spell my name backward. 12 floors later, I followed a hallway that believed in carpet, and then the door to the roof convinced me to stop trying to be gallant. The pool is a thin rectangle made to flatter reflections. Beyond the glass, a couch wore the sky like a cardigan. 2 towels waited on a chaise in the posture of people hopping to be chosen again. The bar gave the city back to itself in cubes. I didn't look for him because I'm not a detective. I'm a person whose kitchen expects him back. But the city forced my hand. He came out of the steam room wearing the expression of a man who has been convinced to forgive himself for 15 minutes. His hair was a kind of apology. His chest was a kind of rumor. Behind him, Jules walked with the professional discipline of someone who knows when not to be a noun in somebody else's sentence. Jules's eyes met mine once and did the exact right thing. They didn't flinch and they didn't look twice. Evan, Ryan said, my name with the softness of a receipt. Additional guest, Jules, I said, reading the email instead of the boy. Humor is the leash I use to keep panic from bolting. I held up the screen where the hotel had practiced good penmanship. You forgot to tell the hotel to keep a secret. Jules didn't apologize. He moved past Ryan and set a glass down on the rail with the gentleness of a person returning equipment that isn't his. I'll give you to the roof, he said. Logistics, not theater. He lifted his towel, glanced once at the camera dome that pretends to be a moon, and left through the side door like absence had a job. Ryan did the thing men do when they're trying to fit truth into an old shirt. "We came up to talk," he said, still shining from steam, beautifully incorrect. "I didn't want to be interesting for 30 minutes. I wanted to be wanted by a room that doesn't remember furniture." Are you sleeping with him? The question is a cliff. There isn't a scenic route. You count to one and you earn your mouth. "Not yet," he said, clean, immediate. Then lower, the honesty that knows exactly which muscle wants to bruise. "I brought my mouth." Someone down in the city tried the siren and then decided against it. Air moved over the pool and pretended not to watch. I walked to him because distance has a half-life after 9. I lifted 2 fingers to the inside of his wrist where men keep their apologies and felt his pulse write my name there without permission. His eyes closed like doors that expect hands. At the small of his back, where his body keeps its best arguments, heat had already bought a ticket. My palm remembered the route. "You like wanting that proves something kindness can't," I said. "I didn't make it cruel. Cruelty is lazy precision. You treat intimacy like a sport and honesty like off-season training." "You like to coach," he said, not smiling but remembering how. "Which is unfair and also why we still have furniture." "What do you want?" I asked. "Right now, not the apology you drafted for daylight." He stepped into the inch that becomes a lie if you respect it. Heat ran through cotton like a fact. He spoke close enough that punctuation found my lower lip. "I want to go home," he said. "I want you to want me where our towels remember us and desire doesn't need a digital key." We didn't kiss under the camera's dome. We're messy, not stupid. I put my hand on his jaw and told the city to mind its own business. We moved toward the door like a decision that preferred stairs to elevators. Down on the sidewalk, the piano's echo tried to follow us and failed correctly. We walked the 12 blocks back to the apartment in a silence that didn't audition for tragedy. The cinnamon had waited more faithfully than either of us. We ate it with our fingers because forks would have lied. He leaned against the drawer that sticks, the posture that means he's willing to be moved and wants me to be precise about how. I slid my palm under his shirt and found heat like an address that still prints both our names on the mail. He tipped into me, gratitude making him heavy and exact. We were careful in bed, not the kind of careful that kills heat, the kind that knows where to fold it, how to keep a room from becoming evidence. He knows where to set his hand on my ribs so the rest of me turns without issuing a press release. I know where his shoulder hides when it runs out of brave, and how to coax it into telling the truth with weight and breath, and a mouth that has stopped trying to rescue him and still wants him. I won't diagram it for you. I'll tell you the room remembered to breathe, and morning forgave us because it had other work. We slept like people who aren't finished. Light shouldered the blinds with the authority of a suggestion. He made coffee the way he does when he wants me to listen. I opened the window and let the day put its hands on my face. The email sat between us on the table like a witness that didn't understand jurisdiction. He started with small truths because small truths keep larger ones upright. "Rap happened," he said, thumb pushing the sugar packet back and forth in 5 beats like a man trying to keep a drummer honest. Jules asked intelligent questions. I mistook being heard for being free. I invited him to the roof. I thought a room without our couch might make me safe from my own mouth. He looked at the email as if it were a caption he hadn't approved. I kissed him once. He kissed back. "He didn't," Ryan said. "He said I was saying the sentence in the wrong room." "You were," I said. He closed his eyes and nodded as if he were practicing the only religion I respect, agreement with evidence. "I'm tired of being interesting for a living," he said. I want to be unremarkable with you. Not always enough. I want to be the man who earns sleep. I want to be the man your coffee forgives. We made boring plans because boring plans are what keep lives from becoming memorabilia. We archived the email and didn't delete it. We renamed our shared calendar from production to home for Sundays. We decided that if one of us wants attention that doesn't belong to the other for 30 minutes, we call it by its true name, a craving, not a crisis. We walk it through the bakery with eclairs mean enough to distract saints. It isn't romantic, it's maintenance. It's oil for the hinge that keeps the door from learning to shout. 2 afternoons later, I saw Jules on the curb outside a studio that smells like ambition and lemon, the city's favorite lie. He gave me the nod men use when they've chosen to be furniture on purpose. He didn't apologize, and I didn't deputize. We stood next to a poster for a show that promises to rescue you from your life in 98 minutes. "I'm not hopping for a medal," he said without preface. "I'm only telling you my part so your head doesn't decorate the rest." He kissed me. I stopped it. I told him I don't want to be the story. I like my bed for sleeping and my friends for surviving. He shrugged like a man returning a borrowed coat. "Your life deserves the full budget of truth." "It helps," I said, and meant it. There is a mercy in being boring to someone who could make you interesting. I didn't come home with a clean heart. I came home with a heart that had learned the difference between evidence and performance. That night, the two of us replaced the digital lock on our door with a model that logs fewer adjectives. Ryan deleted his hotel app and admitted to liking paper keys anyway. We resurrected a wooden bowl for our phones at dinner like a couple auditioning for decency, and then decided it wasn't an audition if we kept doing it quietly. Of course, it didn't end tidy. A week later at 9:27 again, as if the hour had found its vocation, I received another email with celebratory punctuation. "We missed you tonight at the Weldon." A marketing automation had crawled my address with a loyalty leash. My chest did the small gymnastics of a man preparing to be reasonable and still human. I looked up and found him already looking at me, his face doing that small, good thing, laughing without triumph. "It's a blast email," he said, turning his screen to show me the unsubscribe link like a man showing his hands before coming closer. I opted out. He clicked and it was done. Then he crossed the room and put his palm where my back keeps its heat and kept it there like punctuation that doesn't expect applause. On certain nights when the city forgets to be clever, his mouth finds mine with the urgency that thunder belongs to and the patience laundry requires. We stay just on the lawful side of the line, because good heat doesn't need choreography to be true. When it's done with us, when we are done with it, he waits with his hand at the small of my back as if he's holding a page open for daylight. The Weldon keeps sending offers to strangers, and we keep not being those. The player piano goes on rescuing millionaires from silence. Somewhere the roof pool is rearranging reflections for couples who think the sky is permission. I don't trust any of it. I trust the square of light at 4 when it climbs our wall like an idea that finally put on shoes. I trust the bowl that catches our phones like obedient coins. I trust the heat under his shirt at the small of his back when my hand remembers its job. I trust that if a hotel ever tries again to write our names before we've decided to be there, we'll do what we did on the night it tried. Find air, choose kissing over theater, walk home with my palm resting on the part of him that knows the address, and keep teaching this door, gentle, stubborn, local, to open from the inside. 2 footnotes, because lives adore encores. First, I changed his contact in my phone from Ryan to Ryan, home, as if hyphenation might do administrative work on fate. It helped exactly as much as labels help, which is to say, enough to tell the hand where to reach when a pocket pretends to be empty. Second, I kept the original email, the one that thanked us for a stay that didn't belong to me. Not to punish us, to remember where the story pivoted. It is, in the end, a receipt. The clean kind you don't need to highlight, the precise kind that shows a rectangle drawn over a pool, the small line that reads additional guest, Jules, and the moment right after where two men decided, privately and without witnesses, to go downstairs and try being honest in an apartment that doesn't have a lobby.